PhD surveyed 4,175 Americans have found that 26% of heterosexual women, 52% of heterosexual men, 42% of non-heterosexual women, 66% of non-heterosexual men have fantasized about cuckolding. There are even entire... But what does cuckolding mean exactly? The history of cuckolding can be a bit complicated, but that's exactly why, as a sex-educated relationship therapist, not me, this is a therapist who's actually saying this, that I'm so passionate about educating, breaking stigmas, and empowering people to embrace who they are, even the parts of you that you don't even know about yet. I'm not a fan of the internet official definition of cuckolding, but for the sake of history and continue to break down heteronormative stereotypes in our society, let's talk about it. According to Merriam-Webster, a cuckolder is a man whose wife is unfaithful. The wife of an adulterous husband is a cuckweeney. For example, in Hamilton, after it's discovered that Alexander Hamilton himself has been sleeping with another woman, her husband writes to Hamilton saying, "Uh-oh, you made the wrong sucker a cuckolder." Over the years, thank goodness, the term cuckolding has evolved to mean something more along the lines of a fetish or kink, in which a person, often called the cuck, gets turned on by their partner, often called the cuckoldress. Having sex with someone else, often called the bull in many scenarios. The cuck is turned on specifically by watching their partner have sex with someone else. Of course, like many other words in the realm of sexuality, the exact definition can be up to each couple interpretation, in which each person is happily consenting to, probably after having lengthy discussions about comfortable levels. Nowadays, you can interview several couples who all participate in cuckolding, and they could each have different ideas of what cuckolding means to them. That the magic of communication, experiment in ever-evolving world of sexuality. Why are people into cuckolding? If you've never heard of cuckolding or have never entertained the idea of trying it, you may be wondering why so many couples find it incredibly sexy. For many people, the idea of watching their partner doing sexy things with another human being is beyond exciting. Let me paint you a picture. You get to have sex with your partner on a regular basis, and obviously that's hot. But really, do you get to see what it looks like from other angles and what they really look like while having sex? I mean, it's live action porn in front of your face, and your partner is the star. For some people who enjoy voyeurism, enjoy watching people have sex, watching is truly just a thrilling as being the action, maybe even more. And for those who are exhibitionists, those who enjoy having sex in front of others, this is also a fun way to explore that. Plus, there can also be some very sexy power dominance at play in couple situation. Often the bull is in the more dominant role, creating a scene or a situation in which both or one of the other people can be submissive. Depending on the gender of the people involved, cuckolding can also be a wonderful way to explore your sexuality while remaining within an existing relationship. Fun fact, more than 12,000 people. For some people, cuckolding humiliation is the main draw. Basically, the idea of being cheated on consensually brings up the feeling of jealousy and humiliation that can be a huge turn on. Humiliation is actually a common fantasy and close relative to dominant submissive plays. Cuckolding is essentially a container in which lots of different exciting dynamics can happen. Comparison, the act of experiencing joy at your partner, pleasure and growth. Jealousy, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Fulfilling fantasy, power play, the situation are endless. Now, how to get started with cuckolding? Now that you learned about cuckolding, how do you start if you and your partner are interested in experimenting? My first suggestion is to talk. This probably sounds obvious, but let me explain. First, talk about what each of you find sexy about the idea of cuckolding and why. Then elaborate on the roles each person will if when the cuckolding were to happen, this way you're both on the same page and can start envisioning the same fantasy. Then take it to the bedroom, but just as the two of you, while you're having sex, talk sexy together about what will be happening right now. If you're in a cuckolding situation, let each person share what they will be doing, what they would want their partner to do, and what the third person will be doing. You might also consider watching some ethical cuckolding porn to get comfier with the idea and see how it could play out. This is important because it makes it more realistic and allows you to play out this fantasy together before jumping into anything. Then start looking. There are so many sexuality inclusive apps that couples can use to find their party level to join the fun. #Open allows couples to make a profile about themselves, what they are looking for, and what they are comfortable with in terms of arrangement. This ensures that people can narrow their search to find the right consenting individual. Cuckolding fun. A word to the wise: never surprise anyone with cuckolding or anything sexually for that matter. If someone consists to having sex with you, but you're intending to bring them home to your partner, that's definitely not the best approach. Honestly, over-communication and planning are needed for most sex experience, and trust me, it makes the sexier time way better when it's worry-free and everyone's boundaries and limits are out in the open. Be free, sexy lovers. If there's absolutely anything you take away from this, let it be communication. Communicate. Sex is complicated, but it can be less complicated and far more fun if you bring all expectation and boundaries out in the open so all parties involved can see them. Then go have some cuckolding fun. That was from Rachel Wright. She's a licensed psychotherapist, sex educator, and relationship expert. I never even heard of that. I don't know what that is, but if y'all did, like I said, I learn something new every day.
And I want to thank you for listening to my podcast. Please give a 5-star review on Speaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to podcasts at. Please share. Please go to my website, http://podcaster.wordpress.com, www.vilo. Use promo code Sonia, www.instacart156. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, you can buy me a coffee. Please listen to my Sun Sounds album on Spotify, Apple. You can also follow me at son.ia9795, Instagram, Sonia Santiago, Twitter, Sonia Santiago, Pinterest, Sonia Santiago, Facebook, Sonia Santiago, YouTube, and have a great night.